Hey everyone, welcome to Drive By Reviews, where today we're testing out an ultra-fast 50mm prime lens from Nikon. And I'm pretty excited about this one today because this is the first prime lens I'm going to test out on the D7500. And not only that, but this is known to be one of the best portrait lenses available for the Nikon F mount. So without further ado, let's crack this box open and see what's inside and ultimately see if it holds up to the hype that is ultra-fast prime lenses. Here we go. Alright, as always, Nikon gets right to the point. Here we have the AF-S NIKKOR 50mm F1.4G lens, and there's not a lot going on the box, except for this one is made in China. The last one I think was made in Taiwan. And let's see how they packaged it. Now, this is considered a compact normal AF-S lens, but it is supposed to have an exceptional depth of field control, and as I said, be an ideal portrait lens for DX format cameras. And of course, the D7500 is a DX format. Now here we go. That's how you package a lens. Man, that's fantastic. They could take some hints on the other packaging there. Loving it. All right, here we go. We've got a pouch here, just kind of a container for it, looks like. Yeah, a nice little lens case that comes with it. It's fantastic. Nice, comes with its own hood. Actually did not know that was coming with its own hood. And then of course the lens itself, neatly packaged here. And my big question is, there it is, thank goodness. Finally a branded back cover. If you saw my last two lens reviews, they did not have that. They had a generic one, so this is fantastic. Let's take off the back cover here. A little more metal in this one than there was in the AFP models. Very nice. And it looks like on the side here, we've got a manual automatic mode and a manual mode switch. Probably using a lot in manual automatic. All right, looks like right here they just have your 50mm focal length written on there, and right above it, you've got your focusing range in feet and meters from infinity. It goes all the way down to, I believe, 1.5 feet. 0.45 meters. And beyond that, the focus ring is smooth and consistent. A little bit of give in there though when I switch directions. I'll have to see if that bothers me when in use. Besides that, pretty smooth. But let's slap this onto the D7500 and see how it performs.
There's a beautiful trade-off with prime lenses. In sacrificing the ability to change focal length, we gain higher shutter speeds, tighter depth of field options, sharper images, less distortion and vignetting, basically better image quality overall. However, you do have to put more thought and action into where you place yourself and the camera. Now, generally a 50mm prime lens would be considered an ideal focal length when in a full-frame DSLR, as it gives a similar view to that of the human eye. However, today we're using the D7500 with its APS-C size sensor, and you'll notice the crop factor applied makes the 50mm feel quite zoomed in. So for the D7500, if I was attempting to get that human eye perspective, I'd have to swap out for a 35mm prime lens. But if that closer shot with the benefits of a prime lens is what you're looking for, then this prime lens does an amazing job. Known as one of the best portrait lenses available for Nikon cameras, its amazing performance speaks for itself. With the f-stop at 1.4 and that tight depth of field, it's effortless to create a smooth, blurry background to contrast a clean, crisp subject posing in the foreground. Yours truly is an example.
Big black jacked up truck.
Alright, now there's a couple things you're going to realize when you attempt to use this prime lens for video. First thing you're going to notice, you develop a southern twang. No, I'm kidding. First thing you're going to notice is that its silent wave motor is actually much louder than the pulse motor in the AFP lenses I just reviewed, including the kit lens for the D7500 and the 300mm lens. So the pulse motor is virtually silent and the camera cannot pick up that noise. However, this silent wave motor is far louder, and I'm going to give you an example right here. It's almost like train tracks are right next to the camera body. So obviously you can't really use this for these types of videos where you're expecting the autofocus to continually function while you're trying to pick up audio with the body. Now that can be solved with the lapel mic or something else where you have external mic set up. However, I don't think anything on the body is going to be able to not pick that up. So it's an issue you have to think about for video with this prime lens. The other thing is, keep in mind that the trade-off with prime lenses is the fact that it has a fixed focal length, and this of course is 50 millimeters. So right now I have the camera about 5 feet away from me, and as you can tell, that's about as close as you're really going to get with any type of selfie shot. So if this is going to be a vlogging lens for you, or it's going to be something that you're going to utilize to record people like this type of setup, over the shoulder shot or whatever, just keep in mind that you have to set the camera exactly where you want it to be, as you cannot change that focal length like in the kit lens. And of course, if you don't have a large amount of space, you're probably going to have to go back farther than you expect with 50 millimeters. It's basically the kit lens zoomed all the way in. Now don't let that scare the videographer in you. As you can see, this lens has great color depth, great dynamic range, and of course, that shallow depth of field can be used for some pretty stellar videography. Let's check out a little bit more of that right now.
Alright, here we have a couple examples of the autofocus working with a variety of f-stops through the same shot, and we're starting here at 1.4. And you're going to notice with this prime lens that the autofocus finds where the image goes out of focus both near and far before landing in the middle where the focus is, which creates this weird fluctuation every time it autofocuses. And you can actually watch this in detail on the focus range display on the lens itself as it jumps through a couple of different settings before finding where it needs to be. Here's the same shot again at f-stop 3.5, and you can see as you watch the image, every time it autofocuses, there's almost this overcorrection that you can see just visually, and it's just finding both sides of the autofocus before it lands in the middle. Once again, the same shot at f-stop 10, and as I use the slower stops, you're going to see the depth of field deepen. However, the autofocus tends to operate about the same as far as speed and accuracy. It's just requiring a few less instances of autofocus. And I do that just to demonstrate that regardless of slowing the stop and increasing the depth of field, doesn't really change how it's operating here in live view. Now keep in mind, this is just happening with live view, which is mandatory for taking videos on the D7500. When you go into photography mode and start using the viewfinder, all this goes away and it focuses much quicker without doing that back and forth type out of focus finding. And that's just the limitation of the body itself and the D7500. Something to keep in mind for you videographers out there. Now that being said, its best features really shine with photos. As you can see here, there's virtually no barrel distortion in this lens, and that shallow depth of field can be used for more than just portraits, including product advertisement shots, captivating nature shots, and overall really just allowing the photographer to fully control where the viewer's eyes are ultimately drawn to.
Well, there you guys go, the ultra-fast 50mm prime lens from Nikon. A pretty stellar lens for photography, and I would say only usable in videography if you are going to use it in manual mode. Of course, that due to the loud autofocusing system, and of course that hyper autofocus that happens when in live view mode with the D7500 and DSLR cameras in general. Now thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys next time on Drive-By Reviews. Train tracks all day.